In this video, we're going to show you how to set up a saved search alert in RealtyMX. And just by way of background, RealtyMX is one of the numerous softwares available for brokers in New York City to access the listing data, which comes from RLS. RLS is the interbroker database run by the Real Estate Board of New York, also known as REBNY. RLS is like a de facto MLS equivalent here in the city, although technically it is not an MLS, as the word MLS actually implies that it's related to a National Association of Realtors MLS trade group. For example, if you were in another part of the country, perhaps if you were in California and there was something like the Los Angeles County MLS, if that exists, that would have an official MLS database. But so in this case, RLS, the same thing as an MLS, but it's not technically an MLS. So in order to access the listings in MLS, you need to have a software. RealtyMX is one of those softwares. The first thing you'll want to do is log into the dashboard. And in this example, we're actually going to set up a saved search alert for a client. So think for a moment, you've spoken with a buyer, maybe you met them at an open house, referral, something like that, and they want you to send them listing ideas. Now, in an ideal world, you're going to be looking through properties manually. You're going to be sending them various ideas after you've confirmed that they're available, and hopefully you've also confirmed that they're in RLS to make sure the commission is there on offer as well. But as humans, right, we're oftentimes quite busy, and RealtyMX has an amazing feature where you can set up an alert such that it automatically will send your client listings. So that way it'll have some continuity with your relationship. If you have a bad week, if you're traveling, if you don't feel well for a few days, the client will still be receiving things from you, and therefore they won't forget about you and possibly work with another agent. So what you want to do on the dashboard, you want to go to search. And once you're in search, you'll be filling out the criteria that you've discussed with your buyer. So let's just give it a minute to load. Okay, so this is the main interface. The first thing I'll say is, for whatever reason, the default listing type is a rental. Now that's obviously something you have to double check immediately. So the first thing you want to do is you want to click on sales instead of rentals. In addition, unfortunately, the default statuses that it will search for are active as well as in contract. Now, from experience, we'll tell you that the last thing a buyer wants to see is a bunch of listings that they fall in love with, which are already in contract. So you definitely want to uncheck the in contract box right away. So just to summarize, you see the search screen, you'll want to change the listing type to sales right away. You'll want to change the status to only active listings. Now at this point, I'm going to actually pull up some criteria that we actually received from our client, and they tell us a little bit about what they're looking for. So the first one is property type, so type of apartment. In this case, they don't mind condo or co-op. So if you go into the RealtyMX database under ownership type, we can select cooperative, co-op, and we can select condo. And actually, we should be able to select this third property type called a condo, because in theory, it's kind of a combination of a condo and co-op in terms of flexibility on various policies. In this case, the only thing this buyer is looking for is a semi-flexible sublet policy. So we definitely want to select this third apartment type as well. As far as purchase price is concerned, their maximum is $450,000, so we can put a maximum here of $450,000. Now, as far as apartment size is concerned, customarily, a client is going to be, when they say they're looking for a studio or one bed, they would obviously be happy with a 2-bed or a 3-bed. It's just that it's unlikely that something like that would appear in their price range. So in this case, the minimum size would be a studio. But the maximum, we can just put it to the highest possible criteria. There's no reason not to do that. Again, it's unlikely that something will come up like that, pretty much impossible, but there's no reason to just restrict ourselves. So a couple other things as well here. We may want to focus on location first. This client is interested in Midtown East and Murray Hill. So in the Manhattan dropdown, click on that, and you can select the particular neighborhoods. Now, if you had a client, on the other hand, who said, I'll buy anything in Manhattan, that's a good deal, you would, in theory, be able to just select all of Manhattan, and you can see that that selects every neighborhood. But in this case, we're going to keep it pretty simple, Midtown East and Murray Hill. So let's take a look at what else they have. So they've mentioned laundry and building as a requirement. So you should be able to go to amenities here, click on laundry. Now, in terms of floor, third floor or higher, and actually for any criteria that starts to become overly complex, right? If somebody says, that they want a roof deck or they want cats only, something like that. The issue with getting more specific in the search portal is that many listings just don't have the quality of data that you're looking for. So perhaps a handful of listings haven't even listed the floor. So if you put third floor or higher, you might actually miss a bunch of apartments that are higher than the third floor. It's just that the listing agents haven't correctly added the floor. So you want to be a little careful, try not to be too specific. It is a balancing act though, because if the client has asked for third floor or higher, the system is sending them first floor apartments, they might get frustrated. So it's upon yourself to figure out, what's the demeanor of your client? Are they really specific? Will they call you out if you make one mistake with your auto search alerts? Or does the client get it? Do they get the fact that you're just trying to get things in front of them? They understand probably that this is an automated system and they appreciate that. So up to you to figure out who your client is. So let's just go ahead and click search for now, and we'll take a look at the results. Okay, so up here it tells you we have 79 listings, which I would say is a fair number. In order to save the listing, or rather save the search, you would go to the searches drop down on the top, and you'd click on Save New Search. Now, when you enter the client, you're going to want to add a new client. So we're going to just add a test here. We're going to call this person Sandy Smith, and we're just going to put a random email address. Go ahead and click Submit. And in terms of the search name, it's up to you. What I customarily do is I actually put the name of the client. And that way, if I look back into the database, I just make sure that the search name is the same as the client. Therefore, we've presumably done it correctly. Now, the most important step is to actually enable the alerts. These are the emails that will be sent to the client with the listings. So click that. As far as address display is concerned, you have a couple options. If you want, you can show full address. You can show only the neighborhood, only the street name. Customarily, we like to show the full address. We just don't feel that there's any need to obfuscate listings in this day and age. The value of a buyer agent is not in really finding the listings. It's in negotiating, preparing the board package, coming up with intel, adeptly predicting and navigating against potential issues in a transaction. So we just put full address. Listing update, we typically put any updates because I do feel that a client would be interested in a price reduction. Maybe that would make them more likely to reconsider a listing. Email interval, this is up to you. Perhaps every 2 hours is a little bit extreme. Unless the client is extremely focused on a particular search and maybe only one listing comes up every month and they need to see that listing immediately. That's a really extreme example. I don't think it's ever happened. So, customarily would suggest once a day if the client is pretty focused and they're at immediate or advanced stage of the search. Or if they're more preliminary, you could do something like weekly. So in this case, we'll just do once a day. And I also like to check the box, include open houses, right? No reason not to include open houses. That would actually be a catalyst for a client to go see a listing. So once you've done that, go ahead and click Save. And as soon as you see this, check box, you're good to go. The search has been saved. So that's a quick overview of how to set up a saved search alert. You can also modify a search you've already made, and you can save it and overwrite a previous search. How we would do that real quick, if you click on Refine Search, let's say you want to increase the search to 600,000. So you would hit search, and then down here you would click on update existing search, and that would overwrite the one that you currently made before with the $450,000 limit. If you have any questions, please leave us a comment below. And if you have any suggestions for other videos, we would be very happy to make something on any topic of your choosing. Good luck out there.